Hi everybody, this is Oksana. Today we're going to be making this fun dual stone pendant, a pendant that uses two cabochons. So if you want to see how I made this, just keep watching. For my wire, I'm going to be using 20 gauge square dead soft copper and 24 gauge half round dead soft copper. You could use 21 as well instead of 20. Mine is quite small, so it was real borderline whether to go for the 20 or the 21. So feel free to use 21 if your stones are also small, or especially if they are smaller than mine. I'm going to be using two types of tools in this video. These are my wire cutters. They are Swanstrom brand to cut my wire, and then I'm going to be using these pliers to manipulate and tuck away the wire ends, things like that. These are the Lindstrom brand, and they are the RX 7890 pliers. So these are the stones that I'm going to be using. For my bottom stone, it's going to be my larger stone, and it's going to be a teardrop. It's about an inch. It's ever so slightly more than an inch, probably 27 millimeters or so. So I'm going to position it like this as my bottom stone, but feel free to use an oval shaped stone if you would like. That will work also. And then I'm going to be using this tiny little oval for the top, and it is 10 millimeters. The other stone is Labradorite, and then this one is a Silky White Moonstone. You're going to need 4 pieces of that 20 gauge square wire, and these measure 10 inches long. So I'm just lining them up, kind of using my fingers, running them through my fingers to get them nicely kind of side by side, like so. Since they're square, they have the flat edges and then the corners as well. So you want just the flat edges kind of stacked together here like so, facing us. I want to grab them roughly in the middle, like so. And then this middle portion is where we're going to make our connection. So I'm just grabbing my 24 gauge half round wire, and I am holding it here, grabbing the tail end of it to start my wrap. Flat side down, half rounded side up, just side by side little wraps like so. And then once you run out of it, you flip that over, you turn the wires, and you guide the wire that's still connected on the spool. This prevents it from getting twisted. So you don't have to do this for very long. The length of this, like 10 millimeters, is plenty. Just kind of eyeballing it. It's just, the point of it is to hold your wires together. So whatever you think looks good, but also holds your wires together. Some people might like it to be a little longer just for looks, and that's totally fine. All right, so with my wire cutters, I am gonna cut the ends of my wire on the same side here, like this. And now with my pliers, I am going to press down on them and just press on this whole little area. All right, so since my stone has a point on the bottom, I am going to bend this in an angle. The wire ends need to be on the inside, the part that's going to touch your stone. Okay, so if your stone is an oval, you don't bend a sharp angle, you just kind of curve to fit your stone. Or you could bend a sharp angle, you could still put an oval, and then it'll have like a little gap underneath the stone. That's another look. So I'm just putting an angular bend in these, and then I'm going to take my stone and see if that angle is sharp enough to fit my stone, or if I need to make it better. All right, so yep, that fits nicely, the tip of my stone there. So what I'm going to do is just bend this around my stone, you can just put this down on like a table, like so, and then these wires here, I'm just gonna curve them each to their side so that they're not crisscrossing as I try to bring them together. So I try to bring them together in the middle. So if you just go straight up, try to kind of find the middle, and then I'm bending them side to side, side to side, and then just to the center. And that is going to put angular bends in your wires, and then you want them to come together in the middle like so. You can use your pliers to kind of reinforce those little bends to press these together better. But you have basically 4 wires on each side. And then from the front here, you should see just 2. We're gonna take our half round wire and we are gonna wrap it around like so, maybe about 4 times to make a nice connection. I think mine's 5. Press on that. Let's press it this way so there's no gaps. I'm gonna take this wire end, I'm gonna push it from back to front, pull on it like this. I'm gonna leave it for now. I'll trim it off later. And I'm going to grab my stone. I'm gonna pop it back into the frame. Make sure everything is still good and fits nicely. I'm going to lock it in first from the back by just grabbing the backmost wires and putting bends in them like so. Trap it in from the back, and then on the front I'm just wedging my pliers here just underneath the very frontmost wire, and then just pushing it down all the way to where the little wrap starts, and then I'm just bending like so. This wire should be on the side of your stone, trapping it. And same thing here, and bend. Okay, so trapping the edges of our stone, it should feel secure. At this point, what we're gonna do up here is we are gonna take the frontmost 2 wires, so basically these 2 wires, and we're gonna bend them forward temporarily to get them out of the way. Okay, like this. And then the other wires, we're gonna open them up, so you should have 3 left on each side, because this was the 4th that we moved out of place. So as I'm opening these up, trying to keep it symmetrical so that they're bent like the same amount on each side, like so. You might have to use your pliers to kind of press. Sometimes there's like little curves that form. You just want it to be nice and symmetrical right there, nice symmetrical opening for our next stone. So before we put in our next stone, I'm gonna finish this wire. So what I'm gonna do with it is I'm gonna bring it up here. Here it is. I'm gonna wrap it around just these 3 wires like this. And then I'm gonna continue it in the direction that it's going, and now it's coming to this side, and I'm wrapping it around the other 3 wires, so you can kind of see and hear what's happening. It makes a wrap around these 3 and these 3. And I think that's a good way of finishing that wire off. I'm gonna trim it so that the wire end of it is here on the inside, like so. And I'm going to press down on that wire end, and on the other side, maybe just push that down in there. All right, now we can take the little oval stone and I'm gonna position it this way, so you can just lay it down flat somewhere on like a table. That might be easier than what I'm trying to do here as I'm trying to hold it. Let's see. There we go. I'm gonna bend my wires around it as I hold it, just making sure that it's staying centered, that I'm not accidentally, you know, going off to one side or anything. All right, I think that's good. And now the same sort of technique where we bend side to side and then back to the center. All right, so it's kind of leaning to the right. Let me try to get it a little more to the left. Okay, that's a little better. I think the rest of the way I'm gonna use my pliers to try and fix that. So I'm just gonna kind of reinforce this little bend, fix this little bend as well. All right, so that looks nice and straight and centered. Now we can go ahead and wrap around here. So I'm just grabbing my half round wire and I am wrapping it around at least 4 times to get that nice connection going, and then I'll go ahead and start making my bail. So let's press down on that. Let's push this wire end from back to front. And let's trim that off. I forgot to trim this one down here, so now is a good opportunity to do that as well. So for my bail, I'm going to use the frontmost 2 wires. I'm just going to separate them out, bend them forward. The other wires, there's 2 on each side, so I'm just going to bend them to their respective sides like this. And I'm going to continue with my half round wire, bringing that around until I get to the front, and then just wrapping it around those 2 frontmost wires. I'm going to wrap it until it's about 3/4 of an inch long, roughly. I think that's a good size for my bail. So I'm just guiding the wire and turning the piece so it kind of winds or coils the wire onto it like so. So I'm just gonna finish that off camera real quick, and I'm gonna trim the wire on the back side so that the little wire end ends up there, and press down on the wire end and just press down across the entirety of the bail. All right, before I do my bail, actually no, I am gonna do it first. I was gonna say I'm gonna lock my stone in place, but I think there's not a lot of space here, so it's better to do the bail first. So I'm curving it with my fingers. Feel free to use a pen or a pencil or even just bail making pliers to help you make this curve. And then you just kind of pinch it closed and press down with my pliers to close that up further. And the wire ends are going from back to front, and I'm bending them upwards like so to lock the bail in place. So I'm going to use this one wire here on the left to lock this bail down. So I'm bending that wire to the back, I'm trimming it, and I'll be pushing down that wire end and tucking it away. But before I do that, I'm just going to remove this other wire while I have my cutters in my hand here. I'm just cutting it as close as possible to just in there. You can see the little end of it. And now I'm going to tuck this away and press down. All right, so we can lock in our stone now. So I'm going to grab my little oval Silky Moonstone, pop it in there, So first I'm going to bend those backmost wires to trap it from the back. So I'm just going to come in here and let's see if I can grab just that backmost wire and put a bend in it, like so. I'll fix that up. This is just to kind of get it started. And the other side as well. All right, my stone is just, oh, now it's staying better. I thought it was gonna fall out. You can kind of fix the little bends if you'd like. Maybe move them a little further onto the stone. There we go. Now the stone is definitely very trapped in the back. Now we just have to trap it in from the front. I'm just trying to fix it. It got a little bit kind of smushed to the left. There we go. Does that look straight? Yes, it does. Okay, we're good now. So on the front, same thing. Take our pliers, wedge them in here, go all the way down, put that little curve in there, or that little bend in there. And same thing here on the other side. Wedge them in there, all the way down, bend, like so. All right, and if your stone is feeling wobbly for whatever reason, you can just press down. Sometimes little gaps form between the stone and the wire, and you just have to press down on the wire to get it nice and flat up against your stone. All right, so then if your stone is nicely locked in place, we can proceed to these two wires. We're gonna pull them back up, and I'm gonna take one of them and I'm gonna twist it. You don't have to do this, it's only for looks because it's square wire. If you hold the wire and you twist the piece, it's gonna result in this kind of twisted look to the wire. So if you like that, feel free to do that. If not, just skip this step. So I got it to the point where I'm happy with how it's twisted. And ooh, that messed up this front wire. I guess I pulled on it when I was twisting. So let's see. Let's fix that. No, it needs to be even more. There we go. I think that's good. All right, so what I'm going to do with these two wires is first I'm going to bend them to one side, and then I'm going to, as I press on where the wire kind of starts, I'm going to curve it to try and make like a little curvature in the wire, like so, and then the other wire is going to follow it along like this. Now this does cover some of this top stone, as you can see, so you can try to make that smaller so it covers the stone less. And then here I'm going to bend them this way. I'm going to do one wire at a time, so kind of like an infinity symbol. And then the other wire is gonna follow that. Like so. And I think it might be nice to add some beads. If you have beads and you want to add them, you like the look of beads, you can do that. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I have these 3mm copper beads, and I'm just going to add one of them and it just kind of sits here. The stone prevents it from going all the way down here. I kind of like the look of that. So I'm going to take these wires and I'm going to push them from front to back like this, and see if there we go, see if it still looks good from the front. I didn't like mess it up or anything. I didn't shift this little curve. All right, so yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna grab my wire cutters now and just trim that off. Let's see, leave yourself wire ends so that can be tucked away. And there's lots of different things you can do here with the wires. Not just what I did. You actually don't have to even add that fourth wire. So this was the fourth wire and I used it to make this decoration, but you could have left it plain and not even added a fourth wire theoretically if you don't like having decoration down here. I'm just trying to center that. Okay, good. I think that looks nice and centered. I'm gonna just press down on this one more time. I feel like there's a little bit of a gap that I'm trying to close. Okay, perfect. So all that's left now is up here. I'm gonna do another twisted wire. The frontmost wire on the right side and the frontmost wire on the left side. Just gonna do something really simple at the top, like my little side swoop thing that I always do. But feel free, if you have like a favorite pendant design and you know, a favorite way to finish off these top wires, feel free to do it differently. So I'm just gonna bring this wire from right to left and then just kind of curve it back to the right. And this wire is gonna follow that along. Oops, sorry, hit my camera. And then I'm going to tuck those away here in the back. Trim. And let's tuck away those wire ends. Press down and press down. Okay, like that. This next wire, the twisted one, I'm going to bring it this way, and then just to go along with our little loops, I'm going to make a loop with it, or you can also add a bead to it. That could be another fun thing to do, but I'm just going to make a little loop like so. And I'm going to bring it underneath those other wires from front to back. I'm going to trim and tuck it away here in the back. Like this. And this wire, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to bring it to the right, like this. I'm going to make a little loop with it, like so. I haven't used my round nose pliers this whole video, but you could use them to help you make this loop if you're having trouble. So I looped it, and now I'm going to take the end of this, put it through my bail, like so. Bring it all the way around. I'm basically just wrapping it around the bail. You're gonna have to fix this little swirl. A lot of times it just moves to the side there, so just trying to keep it nice and centered. And I'm gonna trim and tuck away the little end of that wire right into my bail, like so. Make sure it's not, the little end isn't visible from the, not visible, but it isn't like sticking out the other side. Just gonna press down on the end really well and get it nice and flat, because you'll be putting a necklace through here, and if it's a cord necklace and the end isn't pressed down nicely, you can kind of get caught on the cord. All right, let me just adjust this little swirl, and there we have it. Our pendant is completed. Here's what it looks like. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a like down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. I post new videos every weekend. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.